Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the American Prospects YouTube channel. Both during the 2024 campaign and now as president, Donald Trump has repeatedly claimed that his tariffs are going to bring back manufacturing jobs.
We already have numerous that are being built or starting to be built, and numerous that were being built in other countries, and they stopped, and they're coming here now because of the tariffs.
In a news analysis at the New York Times, David E. Sanger takes Trump's frame for granted. His trade war amounts to a huge economic and political gamble that Americans will endure months or years of economic pain in return for the distant hope of reindustrializing the American heartland. The reality here is a lot more simple. American manufacturing was already experiencing a renaissance, and Trump is well along the process of obliterating it, both with his Looney Tunes tariffs and his big, beautiful bill. Remember, half of Joe Biden's economic program was a plan to greatly boost the manufacturing sector and advance technology in critical industries. The Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act, and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law set up an immense subsidy scheme for both production and purchase of high-tech goods like solar panels, wind turbines, EVs, batteries, and semiconductors. There were many motivations for this plan. The supply chain carnage during the pandemic showed that America needed to be able to produce certain key goods in case of emergency. Then there is so much of the vital semiconductor industry being concentrated in Taiwan under serious threat of Chinese invasion. Adding some backup chip manufacturing only makes sense. Finally, there is the fact that American communities in places like Ohio and Michigan have suffered badly from deindustrialization over the years. Biden's plan was a way to increase global economic resilience and benefit Americans who needed it at the same time. You wouldn't know it from reading the coverage in outlets like the Times and Bloomberg last year, but despite some hiccups, Biden's plan worked. Manufacturing investment in structures increased by about 220% in inflation-adjusted terms from 2021 to 2024. New factories producing solar panels, EVs, batteries, and semiconductors are going up all over the country, ironically concentrated in red states. The solar panel manufacturing industry now has enough capacity in the U.S. to meet domestic demand, a huge turnaround from the China-dominated 2010s, and in just a couple years. Manufacturing employment increased by about 750,000 during Biden's term. Only about 100,000 more jobs than in 2019, but still the first time in 50 years that the recovery from a recession ended up with more manufacturing jobs than before. And in any case, much of the employment from that investment has not come online because the factories aren't finished yet. But that's only if they're finished, and most of them probably won't be at this point. Trump hates every part of Bidenomics. He hates renewable energy, he hates EVs, except Tesla's.
Everything's computer.
And for some bizarre reason, he even hates semiconductors. When he took office, he illegally froze all IRA spending, and despite multiple court orders ordering the money to be sent out, at least some of that spending remains locked down. And now, of course, the law has been largely repealed. Now, Trump's big, beautiful bill basically repeals the IRA entirely. The Repeat Project at Princeton has estimated what this would do to America's incipient advanced manufacturing sector. It's grim stuff. It would cut cumulative capital investment in U.S. electricity and clean fuels production by $1 trillion from 2025 to 2035, imperil a total of $522 billion in announced but pending investments in U.S. clean energy supply and manufacturing, reduce annual sales of electric vehicles by roughly 40% in 2030, substantially slow electricity capacity additions, raising national average retail electricity rates and monthly household electricity bills by about 9% in 2030, and as much as 17% in some states, including Texas, Oklahoma, and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, that's where I live. Awesome. Kill off the nascent clean energy, CO2 management, and nuclear power sectors. Oh, and by 2035, this beautiful bill will also increase American greenhouse gas emissions by 1 billion metric tons per year and increase household energy costs by roughly $270 to $415 per year. Elon Musk is taking another sledgehammer to American industry by destroying the Loan Programs Office at the Department of Energy. If you don't know, This is a government bank that lends to cutting-edge entrepreneurs. If you've got a business idea way out beyond what is currently on the market, then most commercial banks won't lend to you because it's perceived as risky. The LPO has funded thousands of crazy innovative ideas, from renewable energy installations to solar and battery factories to new low-emission industrial processes to power grid upgrades to the first new nuclear power plant in decades to domestic EV companies, all with just a few hundred employees, a tiny number for a more than $400 billion fund. It actually makes a substantial amount of profit for the public. Hey, cutting the deficit, hooray! No longer. Now it's been doged. Funding has been frozen, and Elon's goons have successfully harassed more than half the staff who could all get way, way, way more money in the private sector out of their jobs. Existing loans may even be under threat. Heat Map News reports that the LPO is all but moribund. One battery company in Arizona has already canceled an LPO-funded battery factory, while another planning a similar factory in Georgia has canceled the loan and moved the facility to, wait for it, China.
China.
Boy, it's a good thing Elon Musk didn't get a $465 million LPO loan back in 2010 that saved his company Tesla from certain bankruptcy. Otherwise, he'd be a truly outrageous hypocrite. Oh, wait. Moreover, the way Trump is doing tariffs is doing even more damage to manufacturers. Biden's program did include some tariffs, some of which he borrowed from Trump's first term, but they were set up in a rational and predictable manner that lined up with Biden's policy goals. Chinese EVs, for instance, got a huge and increasing duty because Biden wanted to protect U.S. automakers from their arguably unfair competition. That gave Ford and GM the confidence that they could invest in EV facilities and take advantage of IRA tax credits without the rug being yanked out from under them. Trump's tariffs, by contrast, are ridiculously erratic, dialed up and down on a practically daily basis via posts on Truth Social. They also don't have any clear economic goal. Why did Canadian steel and aluminum get whacked in particular? What quantity of these items is Trump aiming to produce here? Why champagne, which can't even be produced in the U.S. for God's sake? He doesn't say because the man's brain is clearly soup.
God bless the United States.
The actual story so far is Trump seems to view imports of any kind as an unfair subsidy to foreigners. So he imposes tariffs at random, reacts with scandalized outrage when the targeted countries respond in kind, and imposes some more. Then sometimes he dials them back or pauses them at the last moment when the U.S. debt market or stock market starts to come apart. Then he sees something on Night Court reruns at Mar-a-Lago and they come back again, often out of nowhere. The result is a gigantic increase in economic uncertainty. Even if an American metals company, for instance, thought a tariff on Canadian aluminum might make a new factory competitive in the domestic market, they would be fools to build one. A factory takes years to finish and a decade plus to pay itself off, and Trump might throw the tariff out on a whim at any moment. What's more, all these cuts and chaos are tanking American business in general. The Dallas Federal Reserve survey of Texas manufacturers has some illustrative comments. We have a large order delayed until 2026. DOGE has killed us. The tariff situation is controlling our business to date. 42% tariffs on our product is much better than 157%. But it's still 42%. It cuts into profits and sales. The combination of IRA repeal, DOGE, and the tariff madness is probably going to create a recession sooner or later. And this idea that there is some kind of inherent seesaw effect between a recession and manufacturing is the opposite of truth. The other half of Biden's economic program, of course, was the American Rescue Plan, which stoked red-hot growth in spending and employment. That actually reinforced his manufacturing program because it raised demand for manufactured products. Most American manufactured goods are sold to Americans, and if there is a recession, purchases will fall. That is doubly true for expensive, durable items where a purchase can usually be put off, like cars, washing machines, solar panels, or computers. Trying to rebuild manufacturing while creating a recession on purpose is like trying to do a pole vault after bolting a sandbag to your ankles. Donald Trump, with his devil's luck, was handed the best American economy in generations on a silver platter. Growth was strong, unemployment low, and investment booming. Manufacturing in particular was poised to take off if he merely did nothing. But unlike in his last term, this time Trump appears determined to take the prosperity created by Bidenomics, along with its manufacturing boom, and blow it to smithereens. Thanks for watching, folks. If you are interested in more Prospect content, you can visit us at prospect.org. And do please like and subscribe.